Hi, welcome to Eight of Cups Tarot. This is your astrology forecast for the week. Oh my gosh, I guess it's February 26th through, January 26th through February 2nd or so. I cannot believe we're all the way through the first month of January already. So this week we are going to be dealing with Neptune and Venus and Mars and the moon. There's not too many other large aspects, so I'm sensing this week is a time for some inner healing. You'll see that come to play a lot when Neptune is hanging around with our personal planets, as she will be with Venus. She will be conjunct Venus and the moon. And then she'll be making a square to Mars, which is in Sag, which is an interesting aspect. And then we've got the moon this week kind of moving through and shaking things up a little. But it's really not a week full of tension. And if there is tension, I sense that it is more inner conflict. We are coming off of that new moon in Aquarius, and that energy is still, we will carry that with us for the next couple of weeks until we have the full moon in Leo. So that energy of introducing new ideas, new technology, new connections, meeting new people, we're still going to have that with us. But right now, starting today, the moon is with Venus and Neptune. So today, Sunday, feels a little bit calm and quiet, and maybe a day where you don't feel much like leaving your house. You know, when we have planets in Pisces, it is very much about seclusion and privacy. So there may be a little bit of coming down from the excitement of the new moon energy, maybe nursing a hangover somewhat, even if it's just an energetic hangover from being around a lot of other people. Today and Monday are a good time to kind of go within and heal from that. But when Neptune is joined with Pisces, there is a little bit of an overly romantic or idealistic situation. And oftentimes we get lost in maybe potential of situations, kind of the fairy tale. And I don't want to warn anybody not to do that, because I actually think this is a very nice gift from the universe. Coming in after the eclipse season and the conjunction in all of that earth energy, this is really a cleansing time where we've kind of gotten down to the bare bones and the necessities of what we need and where we are emotionally in our lives, or where we want to go. We've shed our skin in a way, and as we've done all of this work to form these new boundaries and get strong within ourselves, because that's what the Capricorn energy does, and that's what Pluto does. And then Neptune and Venus comes along and says it's okay to loosen the boundaries a little, to allow yourself to feel connection to others, to be a little more comfortable with the idea of being vulnerable with others. But on, I believe it's Tuesday, this Venus and Neptune will form a square over to Mars in Sag. Now, this is an interesting situation right now, because that Mars in Sag is going to give you this drive and this ambition, which I think we're feeling quite strongly right now, especially, we have a nice mix now of air and water and earth. It's not as heavy as it was a couple weeks ago. So we have this motivation and this drive. And in Sag, when Mars is in Sag, it's very truthful. So I sense that there'll be a little bit of self-discovery in the journey that we're on. And maybe some truths that we need to accept for ourselves or from others. But Venus and Neptune want you to know that it's not impossible, and that your dreams are really important right now, and what you're building on does need to serve you emotionally. It does need to be a part of your soul at this time, so it can't just be, it can't always be that head over heart decision, or, just staying focused. That Jupiter and Capricorn can cause us to feel like we have to be really focused on one journey, one road, one path. And the Mars in Sag is saying it's okay to explore, and then the Venus in Pisces is saying it's okay to feel, it's okay to acknowledge these possibilities. A square is tension, but it's something that can be worked through, and it's with communication, it's with being true to each other and to yourselves, and being honest with who you are, and it has to involve who you are emotionally as well. Interesting thing about this conjunction between Venus and Neptune, it's at 16 degrees. At 16 degrees Pisces is the point where we retrograded Mercury went retrograde last March. It was at 29 degrees Pisces on March 5th, and it retrograded all the way back to the 16 degrees Pisces. So right now, this conjunction is taking place during that shadow period of that retrograde Mercury. So you may want to look back at what was going on for you last March. You may see a continuation of that story, or a similar story where you're being offered a chance to rewrite it, to tweak it in a certain way, to have a little bit more control over it. Now that, again, we've gone through the conjunction, we are different in a lot of ways. So some of the things that we maybe would have put up with last March, we're drawing different boundaries now, and so it'll be interesting to see how these situations play out a second time around and how you will handle it. So keep that in mind. You also want to take a look at your chart and look at where that 16 or 17 degree mark falls, if you have any placements there in immutable signs such as Virgo, Pisces, Gemini, or Sag, because those will be activated at this time with this Venus Neptune and then the square to Mars. You want to look out for areas in your life where you do need to take the rose-colored glasses off a bit and maybe put some drive and ambition into making a dream a reality, taking action on something. And again, there's a real drive with these planets right now because we don't have anything retrograde. Now, next weekend, we start to move into another retrograde phase, which Mercury will be retrograde in Pisces again. But it will be the early degrees of Pisces and back into Aquarius a little bit. So it's the beginning and not the end decan of Pisces. I think Mercury is going to work a little harder this time during this retrograde period to uncover and break the illusions or the cycles of illusions that you build in your life and what area of your chart is being triggered at that time. So that's a really interesting period. The moons this week, again, the beginning of the week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we're dealing with a Pisces moon. So that is where the moon will meet up with Venus and Neptune. The moon will square Mars. So it's more of that energy. So that just goes to say that this is going to be a very personal time with all these personal planets that are being activated in your chart. So I do see the Venus, Neptune, and Mars playing out collectively, and I think you could see that now with the virus in China. I think there'll be a lot more news regarding that. Mars and Sag does talk about other nations and other countries, and Neptune is very much about viruses or plagues or sicknesses. It's about the medical advances. Sag could be about the air, so we might see bigger restrictions on flying and traveling at this time, shutting down of international airports and such. That could be a real theme at the beginning of this week as things become more and more uncovered. So the moon will then move into Aries on Wednesday and Thursday, and this is where things might get a little exciting because your ambition is finally gonna pick up. Now, again, the first couple days of the week is a great time for meditation, relaxation, taking time off work, going to get a massage, or going to a spa. Those are great days for that. Expect the action to pick up this week on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We should be much more productive. But watch out also, because as the moon goes into Aries, we do our once per month conjunction with Chiron. And when we have all this Neptune subconscious 12th house Pisces energy, where we're really getting to know ourselves on a much more spiritual and inner level, then we have Aries conjunct Chiron, so this could be an emotional trigger of a wound. But with the Mars ruling in Aries, you're going to see an ability to get past those emotional wounds, a drive to grow from them, a decision to not let the old wounds hold you back. So this is really a moment of empowering yourself. Again, this can flow in a couple different ways, and you'll know throughout the week as the truths come out. If you're faced with decisions, just know that you're gonna get the guidance that you need. Pay attention to your dreams. Pay attention to, it's a great time to seek counsel in, another astrologer for a personal reading, a tarot card reader, a psychic, any kind of mediumship that you might be interested in. This is a great time to connect to that for answers, because by the middle of the week, you may be faced with decisions, like I said, and you may be called to do things in a very different way than you had done them in the past. That's what we're challenged with. On Saturday, the moon moves into Taurus. So I love a moon in Taurus because it's very sensual and it's very seeking security, which is nice. This could be where you're really in the mood to cook dinner, to really nurture yourself, because that's what Taurus does. But as the moon moves into Taurus, it meets up with Uranus again. And the Uranus placement in Taurus puts a little bit of a different spin on what the typical Taurus placement would be, because right now Uranus is there seeking freedom. So this week may be so much of a push and pull between your personal freedom and your need to connect with others through relationships, through contracts, through communication. There might be a little bit of a disconnect between what you emotionally need and what you want in this life and where your drive comes from. And so this is a little bit of a crossroads period. Do not ignore the feeling that you need to make quick decisions this week, because you don't. We are entering the shadow phase of Mercury next week. So rest assured that the things that you come up with now and leading into next week will have an opportunity to be revisited, to be talked about again. The opportunities will come back up. So if you are not certain, if there are areas of your life where you feel there might be deception, you don't know the entire story, you're just somewhat unsure of your feelings, sit with it. If anyone has ever studied human design, you'll know that about 90% of our population is structured in a way where we are not meant to react to situations. Yet our ego and our primal fears often cause us to have to come to a decision quickly, and it calls to focus this feeling of, the need to survive. That's what the ego does. There's a need to protect yourself. And so I think this week we're being called to not jump to conclusions or decisions in order to protect ourselves, but to kind of allow things to sit with us emotionally, to take our time to process them and make decisions from a place of inner guidance instead of our outer egos. I think that's the ultimate tension and what we are working on getting over and changing this week. It's a really good time to understand that gut reactions are not going to lead you to the places where you ultimately want to be. The burning bridges, the maybe being quick with your words and your decisions could lead to your detriment. So it's a really good time to sit quietly, to reflect, to think before you act. You also want to be a little bit protective of your spending at this time. Venus and Neptune could make you feel like you want or you deserve all of the things, but your bank account could be telling you something very different. And again, that Mars and Sag could be saying, oh, screw it, just buy it, it'll be great. But there may be a feeling of regretting it later. So again, that's where you're called in to not make the gut reactions. If there's something that you really want to buy or invest in, go home, sleep on it, see how you feel the next day, and take a look at your priorities again. Same with the drinking and the drugs and the self-numbing that could come into play this week. You want to be careful that you're strong in your willpower if you have addiction issues. This week could trigger a little bit of escapism for some people. Escape in healthy ways. Neptune is such a place where you could get lost in movies or music or art or creativity or meditation, spirituality. Those are great ways to exercise that instead of that bottle of wine at the end of a rough day at work. You want to do things that are going to help your energy, not drain it even more, because that Pisces energy is not very energetic to begin with. So depressants of any sort will kind of become a downward spiral this week. So you want to know that and avoid those traps that you might fall into. So the end of the week, there could be a little bit of shakeup with our emotions, a change of direction, a change of priority, or just plain surprises and opportunities with people. But remember, again, the overall theme this week is really taking the time to get to know yourself and what you want. And remember that in Aquarius season, we are meant to connect with the people, with the technology, with the ideas, we're meant to connect at this time, to open our minds, to do things a little differently and somewhat unconventional ways. And in ways that will free ourselves to be more authentic, to be more of who we are. When the moon gets in there, especially in Taurus, there's a little bit of inner conflict between your security, and again, it's bringing that idea of vulnerability to all of us. Who can you be secure? Who can you be yourself around authentically? Where are you comfortable? Where is your security? Where does it lie? Those things might come up at the end of the week and make us think about things in new ways as well. That's about it for the week. I do hope you guys have a wonderful one. I will be starting my general tarot readings for the signs in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and spread the word so others can hear the video and understand what's happening this week. I hope everyone has a wonderful Neptune experience. Remember to take care of yourself. Lots of love. Bye.